Right, I'll spin into a take of mine then. Because on the one hand, this is one where it's not actually that spicy a take, and there's a cheat element to it, but it just sounds like a straight fire take. Because one thing that is pissing me off now with this HooXi thing is this. Notice none of the people laughing want to put any of their own skin in the game. They don't want to go, oh, since you guys are wrong, I will now insert my opinion. HooXi's actually a top 3 IGL in the world. That person doesn't exist, by the way. At the same time as we're not ever allowed to criticise a guy who has never played a major playoff match for G2. He's played for them while 2 majors took place, by the way, guys. We're not allowed to ever criticise that he might not be the right man for the job. But at the same time, no one's going to tell me he's one of the best IGLs in the world after he's just done a historic accomplishment. He won Katowice St. Cloud in the same year. If people don't know, the only people who've ever done that is Pronax and Carrigan. Like, they're GOAT fucking IGL guys. So my question is this: where is HooXi in the GOAT? Where is he? Why is no one saying, and I think HooXi is top 5 of the world. So the meme one that goes into a real point is this: HooXi isn't even still a top 3 Danish IGL. Now the cheat is the top 3 Danish IGLs are the top 3 IGLs in the world. But like, who's he better than? Is he better than Cadian because of this? I don't think so. Is he better than Carrigan? I don't know anyone who thinks that. And is he better than Snappy? Mate, Snappy almost fucking won over him with like half the team. Like, the joke is, bearing in mind, I actually wanted, by the way, Snappy to be the person who replaced fucking HooXi. I don't know that he's necessarily shown me I was wrong. Because I'll give you a couple of angles. There's the major one already. Why now it's fine to just bomb all the majors? I don't know. I don't know why that's okay, because that's the main reason everyone tells me Carrigan has problems, and I would agree. I think you have to perform at the majors. Then I'll add this in. The reason why I'm still not impressed by the HooXi angle, because people are going to think, what the fuck, how? I actually think he might end up being the fucking exception that proves the rule for me, Maui. You know my theory that listen, he's not a bad IGL, so I guess the theory still, I have a rule that goes, you can't be a bad IGL and win the biggest tournaments. It's just not possible. I don't think he's bad, but I also implied you have to be good in some sense. That's my problem. I just think he's average. Because if I had these two pieces of information in, I think it just makes his accomplishment way less impressive. So here's the 2 players that are his best players, and essentially every tournament will be competing with each other like this Cologne to be the MVP of the tournament. Not one guy. Remember, if Ents won, it was some bias all day long was going to be the MVP. In this team, by the way, he had like 3 people contending, but let's say by the end it was between Monacy and Nico. Right, so let's just look at those 2 players, guys. So Monacy, bearing in mind Ziwu, if people don't know, when he joined Tier 1 was already 18. Monacy basically is the best young player ever. He's 17 now, and he's still a fucking stud. He just turned 18 recently, but you know what I mean? Like, he was 17 when he did a lot of this shit. So actually, we've never even seen a player that young, essentially, except Old simply wasn't in a team this good. So you might have the best young AWPer ever, and then who's your other star player, right? If you guys can watch that final of Cologne and tell me you think HooXi is why Nico did that, I can look at you through the side eye and go, you just don't understand the game much. Because what the fuck are you talking about? Like, the Mirage game's the best example. That whole game is won by Nico just doing the most god-tier fucking mid-round lurks you will ever see, where he catches any rotation, anyone trying to help someone, he always just picks them off. Like, that's nothing to do with HooXi. He didn't fucking call that. Not least because it's Nico. What, you think HooXi, did he get a DeLorean and go back to 2016 and tell Nico how to fucking lurk T-side of Mirage, did he? That's like Nico's fucking office, you moron. He's been doing that for 7 years. So if you add these 2 pieces in, it's like, at this point in time, it's like I joked earlier, this is almost like the test case for how insane a team can you give someone before you have to stop like giving that much credit to the IGL. Like, I'm not exaggerating, I don't think anyone's ever had a crazier set of players than HooXi has. I can't think of anyone in history. Like, the joke is you actually have to for real go to like Carrigan with like the super team phase. Like, that's the fucking scale. And by the way, you guys were all brutalizing Carrigan for being 1 round from winning a major. HooXi's never even made a fucking playoffs with G2. Like, why is that okay? This is the Ziwu thing all over again. So it's cool for HooXi just bomb the greatest tournaments ever. How is it? So that whole thing frustrates me because, like, essentially, I know it sounds like a hate to take, but this tournament actually didn't change my view of HooXi at all. I never thought he was shit. I don't even know that you don't have to even replace him, but I do think it's a gamble to keep him.
I'm not going to say that he's a great IGL. I don't say he's a bad. I'm just saying he's bad for Nico. Yes, they won. Yeah, great. They did win, right? But also, like you, I'm not going to change my opinion on that one. Because he would definitely just take the majors, right? Just take the majors in the way they like you said, bombed them, right? And the fact that he has maybe the most insane lineup in terms of skill.
Oh, it's insane. It's amazing, isn't it?
And proper roles in there that
Yes.
it's even better than what Kerrigan had in that
it's amazing.
prime phase. And it's just people don't just ignore that, and just for me, I don't see it, but coming into CS2, I think that the great analogy would be that, like you said, like they don't need to cut him now, obviously because he won this, but keeping him would be definitely a massive gamble, right? Because what happens on the next major? How many majors we're talking just only about majors, right? How many majors do you need to skip or fail in order to, make a change or something, right? Because I don't see them winning a CS2 major, because we don't know what the fucking CS2 is going to look like or who's going to come out at the top.
By the way, logically, like I said earlier, if you're a HooXi supporter who thinks it's egg on the face of Richard and Cassad, then just say it. Just say that they will win the next major. Just say it. I on this day, July, I predict G2 with. No one will do it. Dude, you'll never find these brave people. There's no one thinks HooXi's the best. No one has him top 3 IGL. No one thinks they're going to win. Like, what? So what are we laughing at then? We all agree that's just weird that they're winning, isn't it? Surely we all agree.
And even like in these greatest like IGLs, you can see like they have these trademark calls that they did. Like look at Glaive in the what's it, the E-League major, right? Against VP, the rushes on the fucking train and stuff. Those are calls. Those are direct calls. This is not based off the mid-round rotations or the individual decisions. It's a call, right? Then look at Kerrigan. You can point out 10 different calls that he made that won the different events, right? The signature things. Like when I go and look at this, there is nothing about the calls that was like super crazy fucking, at the right time. It was just like these players are playing crazy good. Hunter fucking destroys people in the playoffs. Nico, obviously, like we saw the rating, we saw the games. JKS, Monesty, I mean, do we need to talk more about it? Like I said, it will sound like, they won and you're still not happy or some shit like that. But it's just the reality of the things, right? It's nothing more.
Oh, and by the way, I'll just throw this in there. Like, I mean, make the Nico point even harder. You do know, guys, that Nico had a 1.35 rating and he won this whole tournament. Like, you are aware that is like probably one of the craziest rifle performances in the history of Counter-Strike itself. But we're going to act for the HooXi fans like that's just a normal day at the office for your star player. Like, basically, if I'm Snappy Bowie, what I should just do is just turn to all my players and go, what you doing, dickhead? Where's your 1.35 rating? Why aren't you doing your job? I'm a genius. Like, give me a break. Like, I think actually this is how I know Nico is just mad hated on by the community. Dude, people aren't even raving about this fucking tournament. Like, that is actually one of the best BO5 rifle performances you will ever see ever in Counter-Strike. No joke, all 4 maps, he is even the one they lost, he is carrying on. Even on Anubis, go watch it. Like, this guy was a fucking stud. That's how I know people can only see the AWPers, bro. Like, I thought this was a masterclass the way Nico played this final, the whole tournament in general.
Elite level, right? Just GOAT level. And then yet again, I'm the one who is fucking biased and I'm the fucking fanboy of Nico. But what more do you fucking need? What more do you fucking need besides this fucking tournament? To actually acknowledge that he is playing with a fucking rifle, delivering this on a constant level, and you still want to acknowledge it and you just still want to keep talking shit. So fuck right off. That's my fucking answer to that.
Okay, 3 things I want to address in everything that was just stated. The first is that with the fans' lack of reaction and praise that they should be throwing in Nico's direction, I would say that the most likely reason for that is because they ended up beating ENCE in the grand finals, and public acceptance hasn't actually taken ENCE to be like an elite team, even though by all standards, in terms of recent performances, they are. But I think a lot of people still see them as sort of like that tier 1.5 team if you're using like the hardest grading system ever. They're not like if Nico did this against a phase which we know is worse than today's ENCE, then people would be raving about it a lot more, just because it's against names that they're more familiar with. He did it against Robs, he did it against Twist, whatever. But instead it's like he did it against Diha and Sun Pius, like whatever. The second thing is that I think for HooXi's reputation, he needs to release comms videos because, or there needs to be more of that, because even that sliver of what Alexi B said, like 3 years ago when he was microing Issa to do something, like, or whatever, like that gave Alexi such a long-standing reputation as a micromanager that still persists to this day. And so if HooXi gets a clip like that, or at least they release some more clips like that, then there's more likelihood that people are going to come around to the idea that maybe he is a good mid-round caller. Maybe he is actually directing Nico to make some of these cool lurk plays. But as it stands, we just don't really have the evidence before us. And so we can't really say with any certainty what he's doing. It's like, it's basically
He's not,
why
I'll tell you that. He's
well, then I mean, there's no evidence to say it or not, and that's also why we like so.
By the way,
I
just want to blow people's minds a second. I'm not going to actually say this. I'm just suggesting it's hypothetical, and Kassad's not going to comment. Right? Think for a second, guys. You all think Kassad is biased because he's friends with Nico. So let's just put this on the table. You don't think Nico ever has talked to Kassad about how the team's run, what the call's like, etc. In the whole time, all these years, they've known each other. And remember, though, he's been in the team since like fucking blast fall groups last year. They never had that conversation. Like Kassad could never know, because the reason I'm saying he can't say anything, he can't say like Nico told me shit. Like he's obviously not going to say that, is he? But you don't even, what's mad is the fan doesn't even account for that, Maui. They don't even give Kassad the credit that he might actually know what they don't know. They can't even conceive of that idea.
Right.
Hey,
Right.
the last one, before you continue, Maui, I'm just going to circle back to Ants, people not recognizing them to be a top-level team right now. The only defeats they have from the end of May were against VP on the Challenger, and they lost to G2 in the finals of this one. And that before that was last defeat on the Major, which was like fucking 3 months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they have all these wins against FaZe twice, Astralis,
Vitality.
Fnatic, Vitality, Heroic,
Yeah.
like all these teams, and they lost only to G2 in the finals, and people still have the balls to say like, you know, that Snappy is not good enough for that, or Ants is not a good enough team. Look at the players they have, right? The composition of the players. They had to build that by themselves. But anyway, go.
Yeah. I don't think people are necessarily downplaying. Like, people aren't shit. No one that I have found has been shit talking Ents. It's more just like they haven't been elevated to greatness in terms of the eyes of the public yet. The last thing I was going to say though about this point is that this isn't a hot take, but it is kind of one that I made. I made this as a hot take maybe like 7 episodes ago, and I'm kind of actually still persisting with this idea that I think that G2 is like, again, this is not really to me like a hot take, but it's like, because it's like I'm kind of I'm making it really nice so that it's comfy and like I'm not putting myself out on one. I think that actually of all the teams right now like that could win a Grand Slam, I think G2 has the highest probability of doing that. But I'm not saying it's because of HooXi. I'm saying it's because, once again, we see what happens when 3 or 4 of their star players just pop off. Like, it's insane. And this is why I did make a hot take maybe like 5 months ago plus before Pro League that I was saying that G2 will win the next Grand Slam and FaZe won't win that. That was a hot take at the time. And now, unfortunately, to make like this like an easier hot take for me, the Katowice win for the Grand Slam doesn't count because FaZe already completed that season of the Grand Slam by winning Pro League after the Katowice win. But right now, if FaZe didn't win that, G2 would have 2 notches under their belt for a Grand Slam, and I think that and it's pretty easy to say that they would have the highest likelihood to win a Grand Slam, but that's kind of just like a different statement entirely based off of what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.